Thank you. How about yourself?
It's a good day today.
Good. Well, I got the water report from the town, and I'm not really sure if it's concerning or not. It's got pretty high levels of copper in it. And then the alkaline, I kind of figured the alkaline because I always had to bring the pH way down to do anything with it. And then it's got a little bit of uranium, and of course chlorine like everybody has in it, but you can boil that off or let it sit for a few days and get most of that off.
Well, the drops of balance actually will rip apart all these man-made... Okay, so there are naturally occurring minerals that is in your test.
Right.
But what makes them incomplete chemical reactions is the man-made chemicals, VOCs. Those are volatile organic compounds. That's basically plastics leaching in the water. There is secondary chemicals that are used that are weak acids. The first thing you might notice or know, but the secondary bond makes it a very weak acid, which makes it an incomplete man-made chemical. So what drops of balance will do, it's going to rip them apart and it will reassemble them back into sulfated mineral chemical compounds. And that's because of the acid that drops of balance is made from, or the product, how it's created. It uses sulfuric acid and black mica. It's just a very simple rock. It's not very complex. And
I was watching your video on it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's basically what it does. You dissolve it, it becomes water soluble, and then because it becomes water soluble, it can keep fractionating into water once it gets diluted. So that's what it does. It takes apart these chemicals, reassembles them, and things will precipitate out. For your drinking water, when you do it at 4 mLs or 4 to 5 mLs or a teaspoon per gallon, you will actually see things precipitate out of your water. But when you do it at 1 ml per gallon, you're just treating your water, and it's going to continue to keep basically working after it's in your soil system. Okay. So just throw it in there, let it wait 15 minutes, and go ahead and mix your nutes and start to feed your nutrients.
So the high copper rates are that alarming then?
No, it's not, because I've seen so many tests where what happens is that when you put in the drops of balance, within hours, your whole water test changes.
Really?
Dramatically. Yeah.
Are drops of balance available for a principality? Can a principality purchase enough of that to treat the town's water if they wanted to?
You can, but you actually have to combine it with another product, which basically makes drops of balance work 10 times fold, and that's by oxygenating. Basically, you go in a very intense oxygenator with the minerals, and it makes the minerals go 10 times, like 2 or 3 times further, and then obviously...
Now, that's just that oxygenator would just be like a way to turbulent or to turn that water, right?
Exactly, you hit it. In addition to that, too, when you pump tiny bubbles basically into the water, it creates more space in the water, if it makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. And there's more than just small things, but I don't want to geek out on you over a water.
No, that's fine. You can geek out a little bit. I get that way myself, so...
Well, the sad thing is what will happen is when you treat it with your water municipal system, first your whole city has to be on board with it. And then what also happens is that it will begin to erode your pipes quicker.
Okay, so it causes erosion.
It does, because that's when they say they're making your water soft water or hard water versus soft water, meaning they're removing the little rock particulates that are in the water, which are good for us, but those little rock particulates grind away at the metal. The drops of balance won't do that. It won't do that. It won't, because I've had a couple conversations with this, but I haven't dived in deep because I've never had a serious person want to try to take it to the water municipal level. I've had a couple people make the effort, but then they just drop off. And so I don't put a lot of financial backing into the research or into the need. I just know what I have to do, and I know it's possible, and I know who I have to go to that has more experience to actually push this product into those marketplaces.
Well, if the first thing, let me see it from our conversation briefly yesterday and what I'm catching today is the best thing I could do is first let my water sit for a while to get rid of the higher levels of chlorine, or to boil it. For 3 or 4 minutes. Just
take 1 ml per gallon of drops of balance and add it into your water. And then
that's all I need to do.
And just let it sit for 15 minutes, or stir the water, which always helps because it's an oxygenation process, and then mix your stuff in there.
Okay, and then adjust my pH first.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry.
Okay.
You're right. Adjust your pH first under 7. Probably let that sit for 10 minutes or agitate it well, depending on how much water you're adjusting. And then add the minerals in there. Drop some ounces. Then your regular feed system.
Okay. So I wanted the water report so I knew what I was dealing with right off the bat and see if there was any concerning things there. The copper was the most concerning, and alkaline. I knew I had an alkaline issue because I could see that in my water evaporation system when I cool my house. So the buildup in my filters.
In your filters, absolutely. In the next couple of weeks, I'm going to start diving into alkaline water, and because
I have to, when I use that pH down in it, I have to use 3 or 4. When you squeeze a little, the kit comes with it. You got it up and down. I won't need the up anymore. I got plenty up. I don't have enough down. So I'll have to get me, the dropper that comes with it. It takes like 4 or 5 of them to actually bring it into line. So it's pretty high. And the sodium levels were a little high in the water report too.
That sodium, I'm pretty sure, is what's making your water alkaline. I got to check that, but I'm pretty sure.
Well, I think so too, because I think the alkaline is sodium-based anyhow. Most alkaline stuff is, because we have issues with that. You can see it in the earth driving around certain parts of the area. You can see it being a major issue.
You want to know an interesting part around that? Okay, just a 1-minute geek out on this. Okay, so what controls the rhizosphere is the release of CO2 and oxygen through the root system.
Right.
And when it becomes acidic, it's breaking down. But when it becomes more alkaline, it is attracting the acid molecules, and it's secreting them off of the environment and off of the rocks after being broken down, and that's how it makes them water soluble.
Okay.
Anyways, I know it's a little geek out point by that, but for me, it's always that one moment. Significant.
Water is a fascinating subject anyhow, if you really get into it. I mean, water is a living thing. It responds to noise. It responds to sound. It responds to emotions. I mean, they've done, you can really geek out on water if you really get into it. I mean, I've watched videos on water, and it's amazing. You play certain types of music to it. It's like tears in the human body. Parts of the tears, emotional pains, them tears are actually toxic, but joyful tears are healthy. If you could bottle it, be something that you could use for medicine. And the same thing with water, that certain tones can be given to water and turn that water pure, where before it was non-drinkable, but you could make potable water just with sounds. So it's pretty interesting when you go really dive into some of that.
100%. And just to go back to what we're talking about slightly earlier, just because you're aware of this, is that basically water has the ability to absorb bioenergy. And that's how I like to describe it, right? And the most significant chemical that we need to neutralize immediately is chlorine or chloramine, because it avoids the water bioavailability. All the rest of the man-made chemicals, what's interesting is right when you get rid of those two chemicals, the water has the ability to actually fix itself if we can get rid of those two chemicals.
Yeah, the two chemicals are harmful to it. The chloramine is harder to get rid of than chlorine, though, right?
It is. Yes, it is. It's the byproduct of using chlorine. And Drops Balance gets rid of both of them. Once you neutralize them or get rid of them, over time the water can start to reassimilate, can start to fix itself, can start to, stuff that shouldn't be in there will start to fall out over time, and it will fix itself naturally through the process of evaporating and raining. It's very interesting, but what avoids it of its ability to fix itself is those two chemicals.
And then where does fluoride come in? Because I know fluoride is one of them things that serves no purpose at all put in water other than to make people docile, in my opinion. But
you got it. Specifically, it's sodium fluoride and sodium fluoride silicate. One is a byproduct of the aluminum industry, and the other one's a byproduct of the fertilizer industry. Mm-hmm. And those are harmful to us, but still, with water, once you remove the chlorine and the chloramine, it has the ability to start to fix itself over time.
That's amazing. God's perfect substance.
Perfect substance. Yes, ma'am. Well said. Well said. God's perfect substance. Love that.
Thank you for your conversation today, Mark. Appreciate it.
Call me anytime.
Thank you. And you have a most excellent day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.